Good morning, church fam. I'm excited to be bringing y'all the third Devo of the week. This is sort of the Last Supper, and this situation is very similar to the story of Job, when Satan looked to put him and his faith to the test. Jesus warns Peter that he will be tested by Satan like the sifting of wheat. The sifting of wheat in the Bible is often used as a metaphor to speak of someone whose faith will be tested. The whole point of a farmer to sift wheat was to separate the good grain from the unusable grain. In the same way, Satan was planning on testing Peter to shake his faith. Jesus predicts Peter's temporary unfaithfulness and prays for Peter, not for Peter to pass the test, but that his faith will not be permanently damaged from him failing. It is here that we see Jesus step to Peter's defense through prayer and the promise of reconciliation. Jesus gives Peter a calling from the beginning that he will come back, be restored, and strengthen his fellow believers in Christ. Peter, the one who answered Christ is the Messiah, and the one who defends Jesus with a sword when Jesus is being arrested. And in this situation, the one who gives a response that I believe we ourselves would love to give. He responds that he would follow Jesus to prison and to death before he denies him. But based on Peter's response, it seems that all he hears is that he will fail. Peter's answer is a response of pride and self-confidence. He is determined that he is willing to go to prison and go to death for the sake of Jesus. Anything that happens from A to Z will not stop him from confessing that he knows the Christ. Though his reply seems to be very commendable, it is very misguided. One's own strength is not enough to resist temptation. Peter is very brave in his words at the Last Supper and his actions when Jesus is arrested. But what will he do when those who are against Jesus ask him if he is friends with him? Later we read that Peter follows Jesus from a distance, and this is where the three tests come to play. The news of Jesus being arrested is the talk of the town. It does not take long for a person to approach him. First, we see a servant girl notices Peter as he sits down next to the fire, and she claims that he was with Christ. This is the first moment where Peter can confess Christ, but instead he denies even knowing him. A little bit later, another person said that Peter was a disciple of Jesus, to which Peter replies that most certainly was not true. And lastly, Peter gets asked by a third person. The book of John describes this man as a slave to the high priest, and this high priest was a relative to the person who had his ear cut off. And the slave asked Peter if he was in the garden and if he was with Jesus, an event that took place only hours ago. Peter denies not only being in the garden, but he denies being with Jesus again. As soon as Peter denies the third time, the rooster crows, reminding him of his earlier conversation with Jesus and bringing up all this guilt and all this regret for what had just happened. Because of this, Peter leaves while shedding painful tears. It was easy for him to confess Christ and the comfort of his loved ones, but it was hard for him to do the same in public. After the crucifixion and resurrection, we see the disciples and Jesus eating breakfast. Jesus takes this time to restore and encourage Peter. He does this by asking him, "Do you love me?" 3 times, followed by the command of "Feed my sheep" 3 times as well. Peter's call to future ministry is pastoral, to feed and tend the sheep, to strengthen his brothers as mentioned in Luke 22. Jesus asks these 3 questions to restore Peter for his denial and to charge Peter. If Peter truly loves him, he is to shepherd and care for those who belong to Christ, a task that takes unwavering obedience.